All right, I think we're ready to go, Bill. Welcome everybody to the fourth of the series of 6 workshops for the Young Innovators Workshops, hosted by Bill Murray from the 12 Ronnies. Bill, it's all yours.
Thank you. This week, the subject is, let me share the screen real quick here. There it is, can you see it?
Nope,
No. Share,
but I know what it is.
share, share.
There you go, it's coming.
Excellent. Okay. Is securing funding and resources. So this is um, this is the one that just about everybody's interested. How do I get funding for my startup or my business or my nonprofit, whatever it is? And this is the one with the most disappointment because people come to learn some magic way that they're going to get funding from some magic source out of the blue, and the short answer is that doesn't happen. Because most people are looking for funding at the wrong time. They're looking for funding right away. I've got this idea. I need to get some funding. Um, and the unfortunate truth is that no one is going to give you money to test to see if you have a good idea or not. And that's the thing that you have to do yourself. But the fun thing is we've already talked about how to do that the first 3 weeks, about how to figure out which ideas are best. And so today we'll talk about once you've got that idea validated, how to get yourself ready uh, for some type of investment. So we'll cover that. But I'd love to hear about Zizu and Sophia, and who else we have? We've got somebody else here too, and Jesse is here, and Ruth is here. Sophia, your mic's off. Do you want to just tell us real quickly about yourself? You got 30 seconds or less. Kind of give us your elevator pitch, who you are, and what you're out there trying to do, and what makes it special.
Yes, definitely. So my name's Sophia. I'm located here in Boston. I'm a co-founder and vice president of Novasta. We are a national organization, and we have a dual mission of alleviating food waste and security, as well as advocating for policy change and legislation. And we also aim to educate youth on the consequences and causes of food waste and insecurity. We partner with restaurants and shelters to donate excess food from those restaurants to the shelters. And we also spread our mission via our social media, such as our Instagram and website. And we are hosting an informational webinar this summer. And we hope to have a lot of guest speakers and students attend from around the nation.
Fantastic. Ruth, let's hear about you.
I'm actually part of the same organization. I'm a co-founder of Novasta as well, and I think Sophia gave a pretty cohesive summary of what we do, but I can go a little bit into depth on our policy and advocacy mission as well. So Novasta really does aim to educate more youth and also more restaurants that we're partnering with about existing legislation, and also push for other new legislation that can incentivize these restaurants to donate their food in the long term. A lot of food waste is accumulated across the nation and across the world. So we've been quickly expanding, and right now we're at around 2,000 meals donated across the nation in 10 different chapters. And we really hope that number increases these next coming months and throughout the year as well.
Great, thank you. Salish, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to that's inspiring you these days?
Well, hi, my name is Sanjay, actually.
Sorry, it says Salish on the screen there. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're Sanjay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Your picture was small. I remember you from last week.
Yeah.
You were in the car last week.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you're doing.
So I'm actually trying to help solve a problem which my brother has. It's called multiple palsy. And basically, I'm just trying to help other people who have the same problem as well.
Great. Thank you. Jesse, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, it's a little early here. So basically, I'm part of this organization called Letters to My Heritage, and then I'm based in the greater Seattle area. My co-founder and I were trying to kind of create a positive community where immigrant students mostly high school students can share, I guess, their stories and their experiences moving here to the US, because there's a lot of immigrant students in the Seattle area. And then we're also trying to help these immigrant students with college and career resources. For example, right now we're planning a networking fair for summer internships and programs. It's going to take place around the end of February, and we're going to have local businesses and startups join us and kind of share these resources and opportunities with the high school immigrant students, so then they can sign up for these opportunities for the summer. But yeah, that's kind of what we do.
Great, thank you. Saanvi?
All right, so my name is Sanvi. I'm 17 years old, and we're based in Dallas, Texas. And the problem that we are trying to solve is reducing the urban heat island effect. My organization, along with my co-founder, Latika, we started Shade Seekers, and we're really trying to bring together the community to solve this issue of rising temperatures in Dallas, and we want to do this by hosting tree planting and rooftop gardening workshops in our community so that we can plant more plants and hopefully bring down temperatures as a result. And so far, we have done like one fundraiser and raised like $300 to start funding these workshops, but definitely we want to do more fundraisers to help get more funding for our workshops.
That's great, and that's great experience. So maybe you can chime in when we're talking about some of that fundraising. I think we had someone else from your organization maybe a few weeks ago on the broadcast. Who was it? I'm trying to remember.
I'm Latika.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Excellent.
she's my co-founder.
Wonderful. And then finally, Zizu.
So I'm Zizu Salting. I'm from the Philippines, and my invention, as I like to call it, is called the Codex Lingua. When I was younger, because I'm homeschooled, I had the chance to learn a lot of different languages, even if I myself couldn't speak my native language, which was Filipino. So this kind of lack of knowledge actually made me the cat in the quote "curiosity killed the cat," but instead I had this passion growing for all kinds of languages, whether they be in the English alphabet or they use a different alphabet, for example, like Chinese or Japanese. So the languages I mentioned, Chinese and Japanese, actually use a non Latin alphabet, meaning they don't have the letters A, B, C in them. So I had the idea that instead of me practicing on endless hours trying to write down on multiple pieces of paper, why not I create a kind of digital notebook where I can store these notes all in one place? And earlier last year, I actually joined a kind of mm, innovation competition that was concerned with climate change. And I had the idea that instead of students like me using multiple notebooks at once, they're able to keep their notes in one place so that the production of notebooks and the chopping of trees is reduced. So, thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. Cool. Well, let's jump in. Those are all really exciting stories, and so it's so great to have you all here. Um, um, so last week we talked about business plans and how using tools like the Lean Canvas, the Business Model Canvas, can help you to get to get all the pieces that you need to have in place to understand first if you have a good idea, and then secondly what your business model is. What is that sustainable, repeatable model that can allow your business to be an ongoing concern. And then we talked about business plans having a purpose, but they don't necessarily rule you. They have to be flexible to change as you learn more. And as I mentioned last week, Steve Blank, the entrepreneurial guru from University of California, always said that no business plan ever survives first contact with the customer, and that's a fact. I've seen it so many times. Been a lot of disappointment out there by people who spent a lot of time writing this thing up, and it's beautiful and it's 100 pages long, and it goes out the window the first time they talk to a customer. So that's what we talked about last week. So on our pirate map, we keep moving here. We first week we talked about mindset. Then we talked about identifying business opportunities and seeing which ones are good. Last week we talked about business plans. So this time we're talking about teams and resources and funding especially. So let's jump into that. Funding and resource, we'll talk about types of funding, getting funding ready, how to attract interest, and being realistic. I already alluded to that a little bit. But different types of funding. Sanvi, you've experienced a little bit of funding already, getting out there and talking to customers. Sometimes you use your own money, and that's called bootstrapping. So if you ever hear somebody said, "Oh, I'm bootstrapping," well, that means they're funding it themselves. So whatever money they may have saved or money they're making from a job or something, they're pouring it all into the business. And that's kind of the most organic way to start a business. And it's when it's your own money, it's amazing how you make decisions as opposed with other people's money. It's kind of like if you get money from your parents or if you use your own money, you work a little bit differently. I remember when my kids were younger, they said, "Hey, let's go out to a restaurant." I said, "Great, you buy." And they said, well, maybe we won't. I said, "Well, why'd you want to go when it was my money?" "Well, that's because it was your money, not mine." So it's all relative, right? Wherever the money comes, how valuable it is to you and what you're willing to do with it. Second type of funding, friends and family. And that's a great type of funding if you like lots of awkwardness at the next family gathering. Because when people lend you money in your family, maybe your siblings or your parents or your aunts or uncles, somebody else, they're going to want to know often how their investment is doing. And if your business isn't going well, that can be kind of a difficult conversation. There are also lots of grants out there. Have any of you gotten involved in any sort of opportunities? Let's see, Zizu, you were in a competition, in an entrepreneur competition. Was there like a prize for the winner, maybe money or a resource or something like that?
Yes, I was directed to more people who were willing to help me and my team with our project.
So the prize was sort of access to people that's fantastic. So there's a lot of stuff like that out there. There are competitions sometimes. Or you just write a proposal, like a grant proposal, and you submit it. Sometimes it's like a pitch competition. Um, uh, the grants, a lot of the grants come from governments of various kinds. So you may have a state or a regional or a national government that has different opportunities. Sometimes they're specifically for young entrepreneurs, or they might be for anybody. I'll give you a tip. It's okay to compete against adults, and don't worry, you might beat a lot of them. So don't be afraid of a competition just because there are a lot of adults involved. From what I've heard from all of you, you do just fine in any one of those competitions. But there are lots of entrepreneurship competitions, pitch competitions. Even sometimes the only opportunity there is just to get better at your pitch. You get to be in front of people that'll give you free feedback. That's a resource. That's an important resource. To let somebody else hear about what you're doing and to ask you the questions that maybe you were either unable or unwilling to ask yourself. Crowdfunding is another exciting one out there. You got the Kickstarters and the GoFundMes of the world. You don't need to have a finished product for those places to be able to raise funds. In fact, most of those products that you see there don't even exist yet. They may just be a drawing of the product or a photograph of a product that doesn't even exist. And then if they can raise a certain amount of money, then they'll actually go out and produce it. And then kind of out there in the adult world, especially, you've got what's called venture capitalists, and these are companies that take money from various people and they invest it in entrepreneurs, just like they might invest it in the stock market or in bonds or in other types of investments. And so they're very much looking for a return, an investment return on any money they give to a startup. And then there are angel investors. Angel investors, a little bit like venture capital companies, except their expectations aren't as big. And a lot of times their money is maybe looking for nonprofits or other types of organizations, like some of the ones that you all have been describing here, that are maybe for the good of a community or certain types of people. They still want to see a return, but they want to see a return because they want the money that they're giving out to have the maximum impact, as opposed to returning benefits for investors. Next one. But before we get any funding, we got to hold on. Sanvi, before you went out and raised money for your organization, you probably had a message, and you had some things that you could show people why it would be a good idea to give you money. Maybe tell us about that. Like, how did you convince people to give you that $300 that you made?
Yeah, so during like our fundraiser, we went to like our local park, and everyone who stopped by like our stand, we just told them about our organization, Shade Seekers, and our like goal for starting these workshops and why we needed the money to actually start them. So we could like convince them or show them like why we need the money, but also like how they can create an impact with their money.
So they gave you money because why do you think they gave you money?
I think we were also selling like arts and crafts, like
Mhm.
as like because it was an art sale
Mhm.
for our fundraiser. So maybe they liked our like arts and crafts, but it also could be that they liked our organization's mission and like our goal of these workshops as well.
Excellent. Sound like you had a good pitch. At the $300 is a lot to make from an art sale. That's a lot of money.
Thank you.
Is anybody else, Sophia or Zizu, Sanjay, Ruth, anybody, or Jesse, anybody else done any fundraising like that so far that you want to share?
We've done something somewhat similar. Our school allows us to host bake sales. Different clubs and organizations can host bake sales after school. So last spring we did one, and we raised about $220 or $230. And we're also doing one this coming Monday as well.
So kind of like Sanvi, when people come to your bake sale, do you have like some pictures up or something? Do you have something to kind of explain people, hey, you're not just buying bread from us, you're helping something?
I think that's definitely something we'll do this time.
Good.
Everybody know, or whenever someone would come to our stand, we would explain who we are and what we are. But I think having some pictures or flyers would be a good idea this time. It's just bake sales are so normalized at our school. Most people really just want the food. So that
Yeah.
was what it was like in our case. But I think in the future, really like communicating our mission would be good.
Excellent. Yeah, that's going to be great practice for you too. So think about it as I was kind of introducing before. Would someone want to risk their money on your venture? Why would someone want to? And this is where it helps to start to develop sales skills. The skills that salespeople have, where you convince someone that didn't wake up this morning wanting to buy your product or service or give you money, but after they hear what it is that you're doing, all of a sudden they want to. So it's important to have a validated idea, for there to be a problem that you're solving, and a very clear customer that you're trying to solve it for, because that becomes part of this kind of pitch that you make. And as you're talking to these potential donors, lenders, investors, you have to be able to be very clear about what it is that you're doing, and why it's important. Now, in some cases, do you have paying customers? Now, paying customers, depending on the kind of thing you're doing, may not be people that are buying something directly from you, but do you have people that you are helping and are impacting as a result, and you can show the impact of what you're doing for them? Do you have a business model? Again, this is stuff we were talking about last week. Do you have a way of running this endeavor, whether it's a for-profit business or a non-for-profit? Do you have a way of operating this business that allows it to continue day after day? You don't have to restart it every morning. So those are important for people to understand too, because if they're going to give you money, they want to make sure that you're still going to be around to be able to use it, and it's going to be used in a way that makes sense. Um, 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 so how do you get yourself investment ready? And that's the biggest thing. Some of you got to meet Simon last week from the 12 Ronnies in the UK, and he and I have been talking with people for the last couple of years as part of that organization. And a lot of them come to us and say, "I need funding." And we'll say, "Great, tell us about tell us how many customers you have. Tell them about the thing that you've built, and about your business model." And the vast majority of them, unfortunately, aren't even there yet. Well, I just have an idea and I need some money to build it. And that's the thing that investors will not do for you. They will not give you money to, as a shot in the dark. They have to have a reason and a compelling reason to give you money. So the saying is no pitch, no funding. So let's talk about pitches. All you gave really great kind of elevator pitches as we started today, and so you're well on your way. You're about 90% of the way there. When we talk about a pitch in sort of the startup realm, pitches run, the really good ones are less than 5 or 6 minutes, and they are a story. You don't want to give a pitch like you're reading something off of a page. You want to tell a story about you and your customer and the problem that they have, and the story of you learning from your customer and learning to solve the problem for that customer in a way that improves their life. And when you're able to do that, tell that compelling story, it raises emotions in people that gets them to want to do something. The old saying, and this is again from sales, people buy on emotion, but then they justify it later on with logic. And Sandy, I see your Harvard sweatshirt. A Harvard professor wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman. And it was all about how the brain works. We make our quick decisions emotionally. And then later on, we kind of look for the data to make sure that we did the right thing. But you want to trigger that emotional decision quickly. Get people to write that check to you and say, okay, yeah, I want to get involved in that amazing thing that you're doing for that amazing person in that difficult problem. So your pitch is the thing that has to get that. And when I'm working with people on pitches, I usually tell them, look, if your pitch doesn't make somebody cry, then it's not emotional enough. Then or you simply aren't solving a problem that matters to anyone. And you might think, well, that's not good to make people cry. Well, when you're looking for money, if they're crying, they're paying. They're giving you money because they're experiencing the pain of the customer that you're helping. So when you're building this pitch, number one, right away on the first slide, the problem you're solving, for whom, why it's important, and what you're, oh my gosh, I can't believe I spelled your wrong. That's like my biggest pet peeve. I'm sorry, I'm going to fix that. Sorry, I can't let that stand. And what you're asking for the pitch. So you tell real quickly your kind of your elevator pitch, but you also ask for what you're going to ask for at the end of the pitch at the beginning, because you got to get people that mindset. Hey, we're going to be asking for $1,000 today to do this specific thing. And then your next slide is, hey, what did we learn? We observed these things. We have these new beliefs. Those are insights. Those are the exciting things that get people excited to hear. Opportunity spaces to drive value, and what did we learn? Who, what, where, when, why, and how, in this sort of this quest to drive value to them. Next, it's the recommendations, and that ask again, based on all these things, based on these amazing things we did and the data we showed you, we're asking for this thing. And back it up with facts as you're giving the emotion. In fact, one team I worked with, they put that all on each slide. On the left side, it was the emotional stuff, and then on the right side, it was the logical stuff. So they would hurt them on the left, and then they would help them on the right. And it was this sort of very salesy sort of thing. It was a group of people that had some sales background. They did a really nice job of it, and it was a very emotional presentation that also gave everyone every possible reason they needed to invest. So, and if any of you want my sort of my pitch deck to kind of teach you how to do it, it's real simple. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just look up Bill Murray Mentor, I think is my LinkedIn handle. But I'd be happy to share it with you. So have that pitch, memorize it, so that if you run into someone, you can spend a few minutes with them telling you about what it is, but also have the 30-second version, a little bit like you shared with us today. Now, you've got the pitch, you know how to articulate what it is, you got to have people to pitch to. So you have to go out there and get noticed. Have your elevator pitch. There's sort of a template for an elevator pitch, but then get out there and network, talk to people. And I'm sure all of you are. It sounds like you are. You're getting out there in the community. You're having sales. You're talking to people. Join networks. Build a network yourself. Find other people. when people come to your bake sale or whatever, if they're really interested in what you're doing, ask if they want to get on your mailing list. Ask if they want to come join you at your next event or volunteer at the next time you're going to be out in the community executing on what it is that you do. But build a brand, become the face of what you're doing. Get on LinkedIn and put videos on there, any of the other social media sites that you're comfortable with. Get on podcasts. If there's people out there that are doing podcasts, they're always looking for people to interview because they're always looking for new content. So reach out to them on LinkedIn or anywhere else, and just ask, hey, here's what I do. I want to get the word out, and I would love to be able to help you by being a guest on your podcast. You'd be surprised. People say yes. It's a lot easier than you think. Any other appearances? Sometimes even TV news, a local TV station, they're always looking for special interest stories, human interest stories. Reach out to their newsroom. They're often desperately looking for stuff, and they'll come out and talk to you. Get involved in other types of events that are like yours. You could say, hey, I'm here representing XYZ group as we're here helping Habitat for Humanity today, because we work with the same groups of people to help them do these things. And then all of a sudden now you're being associated with the other group. Get in those competitions. Some of you that are already doing this already. Zizu did that. Some of the rest of you are doing this as well. If there's a competition, a pitch event, any sort of thing where entrepreneurs are coming together and getting access to each other and potentially people that might have resources for them, get involved in it. And then also be a resource to others. If there are other entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs in your sphere of influence in your community, make yourself available. Those connections will connect you to the people they're connected to, and then the pie gets bigger. So bottom line, you want to be, you want to be in as many places as possible. Kind of reproduce yourself around, have other people speaking for you, that understand what it is that you do, so that you're building that sort of critical mass of people that understand what you're doing. Only then will you be able to go out into the community and ask for money or ask for resources, because they'll recognize you at that point. Oh, you're those people we saw on Channel 6, or you're those people we heard about on the radio, or you're that podcast that we saw, or we saw you in the in the local newspaper, or you were at City Hall. Or once they see that, then you've got that street credibility that allows people to be able to give and to seek you out as well. So then that's a big part of that business model as well. Is how do you make it reproducible and something that keeps working on its own? Well, it's by becoming involved and becoming a resource and becoming someone everybody knows. Finally, be realistic though as you're doing these things. Think big with your solutions, but small in your execution. Yeah, think big. Hey, we want to solve this for everybody, but we're going to start right here in this community, or we're going to start on this part of town, or we're going to start with this small group of people. Have your successes there and show the world how successful you are with a small group, and then you'll get those opportunities to work with bigger groups of people. But don't ask anybody to pay to validate your idea. Hey, we're going to go out and see if anybody cares about blank. Like Sophia, you're talking about food waste. Your group is the food waste group, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to. Yeah. So if you had gone out before you'd even tried it and said, hey, we need thousands of dollars to go out and talk to restaurants and other people about food waste, they would have said, you're nice people and everything, but let me know when you've got some people that are ready to give you some food, and then we'll give you some money to store it and distribute and other things like that. And that's just the way it is. So, you have to bootstrap at the beginning, even if it's just getting yourself around town, driving yourself around town, or taking the bus to talk to people. That's on your own. But once you've got that business model, then people will jump in. Don't go out and buy customers. Don't try to prove your business model by giving things away for free that shouldn't be. That's the most expensive way to fail. And it's also the slowest way to fail. And it feels like you're successful in the meantime until there's just no money left, and you can't even, you don't even have enough money to pay for the bus. So be careful about that one. Build business acumen. Work with people that have business knowledge and know how to run businesses. Find a mentor for that, because that's going to be very important. And there are big mistakes that you can make with reference to how businesses are run and things that are done and can't be done. if you don't have that mentorship. Same deal with legal protection. Once you're going to be a real entity, make sure you're getting some help. Talk with your parents, have a legal advisor, and some of whom may be willing to give free legal help or free legal assistance to your organization. But you don't want to go out and be doing stuff that might put you at risk of if something went wrong, that someone could cause you problems from a legal standpoint. And then this one's kind of a big one as well. Ones that we saw with a lot of people, in 12 Ronnie's, it's sometimes is they, they're very concerned that people are going to steal their idea, and then they're going to be left with nothing, and they're going to, this big opportunity will go away. That really doesn't happen. Even if you go out and get a patent or anything, whatever for your ideas, people will still steal your idea anyway. So the game is, don't worry about the value of your intellectual property. Sure, get a patent if you want to, but don't spend a lot of time on that, because the time that you spend doing that is time other people will find your idea and then go out and maybe do a better job of it than you. What you want to optimize for is speed. If you've got a great idea, get out there and tell the world about it as you're going out there and rushing as fast as you can and getting as many people with you to execute it and getting it going. Because what will be the real value is you and your team and how great you are at executing on the idea, not the idea itself. And there are very few new ideas in the world anyway. So, if you think you have something new, it might be kind of new or new to you or new to your area, but it probably isn't new to the world. So, but what is new to the world is how amazing you are and how amazing your team is and what you're able to do in your community and how you're going to be able to get there faster than anybody else. So optimize for that. Don't worry about people stealing your idea. That's flattery, and flattery is the greatest compliment you can, or your imitation is the greatest flattery or compliment that you can get. You go out there and be the best you and team you can. And really, that's what people invest in the end anyway. Venture capital companies, they don't actually look at what a startup is building. They look at who a startup is comprised of, the people, because they know products will come and go and ideas might not be the best. But this team, once they get the good idea, they're going to have the next $1 billion idea. So they invest in the team, not the idea. And that's the same thing you want to do. You want to invest in your team. Because the thing you're doing now may not be the thing you ultimately end up doing a year or 5 years from now. So it's the team that matters, and having great people around you is how you start doing that. That's my pitch. What questions y'all have, or comments, please, and experiences you want to share?
Bill, could you? Oh, good. That was it.
Thank you.
I love this subject. So bootstrapping is a good word for what both Jake and I have been doing with our organizations for a while. And it's nice that there's an actual name to it other than, well, we've just kind of been paying for it as we go. So, and I love the idea that you talked about joining other groups that maybe don't even have anything to do with what you're doing. But I think not only are you helping spread the word that way, but you're also in a position where you're meeting other people who could potentially be your volunteers in the future.
Absolutely. Or have experiences that could benefit you or could be advisors. So, and yeah, and for you and Jake, I think the word is extreme bootstrapping. So, yeah.
Well, we don't do anything halfway,
All the way. You do a great job of it. I couldn't be more impressed. Rest of the gang, anything you want to share with the experiences you've had so far of trying to build that critical mass of support? And again, fundraising isn't always for money. It's it's anything that works like money, that helps you move forward. It's people's time. It's reputation. People sharing out. All those things are investments that other people can make. It's interesting. People kind of focus on money, but I worked with a team one time that was working with farmers, small farmers that sell at farmers markets, and they actually discovered 6 different types of currency, of money, that these farmers used, and only one of them was cash. And so it was really amazing to understand them that well, allowed them to understand what it was that was valuable to them, and what they could ask for and what they could help get them that would allow them to listen more to their message. Jesse, you had a question or a comment? Oh, you got to take yourself off mute. Hi, Jesse.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. So, since I just turned on my camera, I'll a little refresher. So I'm part of Letters to My Heritage, and I really liked what you talked about for bootstrapping and kind of finding a mission and getting that massive audience before trying to fundraise. Because for Letters to My Heritage, honestly, we kind of just got started without even applying for like a nonprofit application or anything like that. Like for about a year, we were just like a student community organization. But I think that helped us a lot because we were able to reach a lot of students in the area. And now this year, we're trying to focus more on donations and sponsorship for events so that we can reach even more people. But I think it was really helpful to establish that initial base of, I guess, customers or students we're helping. So I really liked what you talked about.
Thank you. Yeah, what you did is you sort of prototyped your thing, and and prototypes are smaller versions of big things that don't cost as much, don't take as much time to build, and yet still teach you what you need to learn before you build the big thing and potentially make a big mistake. Prototypes let you make lots of little mistakes. Jesse, can you give me an example, maybe a little mistake you made during that time that could have been a disaster if you'd gone bigger, faster?
Yeah, one of our earlier events, so we kind of miscounted like the timings and our event was just way too long. So
Ah.
like for about 2 hours of the event, it should have been only 2 hours, but it was like 3 hours. Um, that time kind of we just didn't do much and most of the students came at the first hour. So there's just a lot of mistakes here and there. And it was a little awkward for us and for some of the businesses that we were working with. So that's something we learned from that.
That's fantastic. Mistakes are wonderful. They're wonderful because they teach us things. Um, and the small mistakes are the best ones. The big mistakes, those are problems because it's something we should have learned when we were small. But you did a great job of learning at that stage, and so now you won't make that mistake again, right?
For sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cool. Anybody else?
Yeah, I see Zizu has her hand up. And then Sanjay too.
Yeah, Zizu.
I just like to say that I really love the way that you presented your presentation because in just less than an hour, I learned way more about business ideas and proposals than I think I could in a week. So thank you so much for that, for the way, just the way you did everything. And I also got like a little reminded of my childhood when you mentioned fundraising and using a kind of like emotional tactic. When I was 9 years old, I had a really important gymnastics competition that I wanted to attend, but we didn't have the funds for that. So I just randomly remembered when my mom would make me write down like half my life story and how I got into gymnastics. And then what we would do actually is we'd spend around 2 to 3 hours a day in the afternoon in the grocery store, and we'd kind of like ask people for their time to read the story, and then they could donate like maybe $2 to $5. And even if it was small, that I think it's the emotion packed into the story that really helped. I think one time we got $10 to $15 donation, even though if it was just me who was trying to fly out of the country to compete. But I didn't realize until now that that can actually be used as a tactic for pitching ideas. But thank you again.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, full disclosure, I told Zizu that I'd give her money if she said something nice about me. So I'll send you a check. But yeah, exactly. So when in Sanjay, I'll get you 1 second. I think the interesting thing there is that when you tell a compelling story to someone, you create a new problem for them that they must solve now. And the solution to that is supporting your endeavor, whether it's giving you some money, some time, something of value. They now need to do something to solve the problem that's in their mind because their conscience now has something new that they can't deal with. So that's when you know you're doing a great job. Sanjay.
Yeah, I really like the how what you taught us today. It kind of reminded me of like when I donated 4 lakhs or like $4,000 to for World Cerebral Palsy Day.
Mhm. Yeah, and that was one way that you had the problem of, hey, I have to do something here, and being able to give them some money was a way of helping to solve that, at least for you, and that's the way it is for a lot of people. So yeah, thank you. Anybody else want to share? Any mistakes that you've made in your Sophia? You want to share some mistakes that you've made? Maybe early on as you were doing your as you were trying to understand how to go about the food, in your food waste endeavor.
Y-
Oop, losing you. Sorry.
yes, I think something. Sorry, sorry, I'm having some internet. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yes, I think something that we struggled with in the beginning, maybe not necessarily a mistake, but something that ended up being a challenge was having certain members that were part of our organization. And I guess it was a mistake in terms of letting them on, but they weren't very like-minded, I suppose, as they didn't value our mission as much as we did, and allowing them to stay on our board and stay within our organization when they weren't prioritizing making an impact, because that, I feel, slowed us down and did consume a lot of time and energy, when we could have been working more towards connecting with like-minded youth who would really want to make an impact within our organization.
That's tremendous, because so as a result, now you probably have kind of ways of feeling people out a little bit better and understanding their commitment. Is that right? Or how do you deal with that now to avoid doing that again?
I think I can speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, please do.
So
Thank you.
first of all, I just want to say thank you for a great workshop. I learned a lot about funding and securing resources. That's definitely something that our organization has been trying to do, and you provide a lot of valuable insight. So, in terms of letting people on now, we have interviews. It's a bit time consuming, but we do have an interview to see, like, for people that are trying to join our board and then people that are trying to start chapters. We have another meeting with them in order to make sure that they have all the resources and they're actually dedicated. And then we also implemented a 1 month trial period. So if people aren't, yeah, so if people aren't showing actual consistency and proactivity within their community, yeah, they're out. We boot them out.
Excellent. Yeah, that's fantastic. These learnings are great, especially early on, because when at the early stages they're cheap. Later on they're expensive, and they can even be the end of your organization if it's something that you should have learned a long time ago. Julie, I don't want to keep us longer than we were supposed to. We had some great participation today. Thank you all so much. Really love hearing about what you're doing. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Love to hear more about what you're doing and be able to support you however I can. Nope, Julie, you're muted.
I was seeing who could read lips, and apparently you can't, Bill. So there we
I can
go.
what? Oh, okay.
Can't read lips. Next week is developing your product or service, and I think that every single person on this call today could benefit from that discussion. So I look forward to seeing anybody who can come next week to come and join us again next week. And thanks for joining us today. Have a great
Thank
rest
you.
of your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank
This
you
was
so much.
Thanks for coming.